everyone, good evening and welcome to Out of Bounds. Hey, what's up? I'm Kung Fu Fruit Cup here. And guess what? I'm joined by our previous host of the evening in the awesome show, Awfully Silly. That's right, I've got Conception coming on. Superhero for me this week. I had a guest who was like, I can't come on. And I was like, who could I get some help? And Conception's like, oh my gosh, you know what I know? Bugsnax.
I might know Bugsnax more than anything in the world, so.
Yes. So what's up, Conception? Hi. Great show.
Yes.
I was watching. I took a little nap, but I got to see both the beginning, hear some in the middle, and the end of Punchy's run. It was awesome. So good stuff. If you all haven't been watching Awfully Silly right before the show, I don't know why you haven't been. It's a great show. But hey, if you were just joining us for, I can't help but show this off. I love it so much. If you are joining us for the first time for Out of Bounds, what's up? This show is all about breaking down the glitches in glitch-heavy speedruns. So you can catch people coming on and talking about, if we get to nerd out here. I swear, I almost called the show Nerding Out because I just want people to come on and give them the opportunity to talk about things, glitches and things in more detail than you would typically be able to see at like a main stage GDQ, etc. So you'll see that this is more of we take the scenic route and do all kinds of stuff like that while we're kind of casually exploring a speedrun and then the glitches that go into it. So again, tonight we got Conception doing some Bugsnax. So how are you doing? How'd you feel about your show, Conception?
I felt pretty good about my show, actually. I just love doing Awfully Silly so much.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage, first of all, of awful and silly games out there. We have just an endless history. So I feel like I'm really lucky to have just a big plethora of things to choose from. And tonight was no exception. We had a lot of lovely games based on animals, frogs, dogs, everything in between in super lesbian animal RPGs. So it was I had a blast, absolute blast.
Awesome. Good. Okay. So I have a couple things around that. I love, you all know, I like doing little mini interviews at the beginning of each show. So my question for you was what inspired you? Two questions around Awfully Silly. What inspired you to submit Awfully Silly for a show? And then the second one is how do you manage to get so many runners per show? I like one runner coming down per show, come on, and explain 1 to 3 games. And that's already a lot. I will tell you all, the work it takes into doing the research, finding the games, finding the runners, organizing everybody, getting them on just for one show every 2 weeks or so. A lot. So how do you do it, and what inspired you to do it?
Sure. So I'll start with the origins of Awfully Silly. So I always make a joke about this when I start my shows, which is that the Awful and Silly blocks of mainline GDQ events and other related events are always pretty much one of my favorite blocks. There's a lot of humor in them. There's a lot of runs that are very flashy and trick heavy, but because they're based off a game that is not as popular, or maybe a license that's a little bit bad or something like that, they don't get as much love and attention as some of the more popular games. And the other downside of the Awful and Silly block is that most of the time it gets relegated to the nighttime, so it's overnight in US hours. And that is a little bit tough for a lot of people to see. So one of my inspirations was, I want to feature more and more of these runs because we had a lot of expert gameplay, very popular games, but I wanted to feature some of these other games, give them a little bit more spotlight. And the two, I wanted to give them the spotlight in the prime time slot as opposed to getting stuck at 3 a.m. Eastern time in a regular block. So I was able to secure a nice slot on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's been really great so far. In terms of how I organize content or get so many runners on and things like that, well, one, I'm kind of forced into it a little bit because usually awful or silly games are either very broken or they're very short in nature. So to fill a 3-hour slot is difficult at times. So we end up going with a lot of games. But two, another big reason why I wanted to do a show like this is because these awful and silly games tend to be more niche and have smaller speedrunning communities behind them. There's a lot of passion there because if people are running games that are not very popular, not commonly run, that means they're putting in even more time and effort to not only learning a speedrun, but probably routing out a speed run, trying to hitting their head against the wall, trying to find glitches and tricks and stuff to make the run a little bit faster. So there's a lot of love that goes into it. And I think because of that, because there's so much love and passion that goes into these runners, they're usually very enthusiastic to come on the GDQ channel and share that with us. So I've been very lucky in that way that usually I don't have to fight too hard to get people on because they're usually pretty excited to do so.
Yeah, actually, I have kind of a similar thing happen with the show is that people, again, because I do a lot of research into like, okay, who's on the top of the leaderboard for these things, they'll probably have the most knowledge, and if not, they can suggest people to me. And so the people that I usually reach out to about coming on the show, they're like, oh my gosh, I've had a few of them specifically say like, I have been waiting for a platform where I could break these things down, where I could explain these things more, or like, this is so exciting. Or when the show starts, you can hear them like really get into it, which is super fun. So I love seeing that happen, and I love having people come on. Again, you can see that like enthusiasm. And I also had Draxler come on recently to show off. It was Neopets, the Darkest Fairy, right?
Yes.
And I learned that there was like one girl who made the entire tool that he used while he was showing off a bunch of the glitches that showed like all of like the mesh forms and like all of these things to show off all these different parts of the game, like where boundaries are and all of that. Like this huge complex tool that had all of these features included in it was made by like one person, which is amazing. It was incredible. If y'all haven't seen it, go check out the YouTube channel. You can go watch all the other Awfully Silly episodes, and then you can go check out the other Out of Bounds episode. Super cool. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there in small speedrun communities who are really passionate. And yeah, so again, this is something that we like to show off too, is like, hey, here's some glitches. If you want to like learn how to do this game, here's some breakdown on how we do it. So let's get into Bugsnax. While you're going, we can talk about your love for Bugsnax and what got you into that, because we've already been chatting for a few.
Yes.
So.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, I'll be very happy. I want to. You mentioned Jaxler. Wanted to give him a special shout out. He's been on my show, I think 3 times now with various games. Has so much passion for every game that he runs that it's infectious. So big shout out there.
Tell.
But yeah, so let's get started here. I'll just usually with all the Bugsnax speedruns, time starts not when you select new game, but when the game loads into the first cutscene. But since we're taking the scenic route, we'll start time right at new game here. So let's go 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So Bugsnax. Let's talk a little bit about it. So Bugsnax, it's kind of all in the title. There are bugs that are kind of snacks. Take a look at little Bunger here, who is a burger and some kind of bug. I don't know what kind of bug he's supposed to be.
I already showed him off.
Yeah, there you go. And then I also got Strabby over here, right up on top of my mic stand here. A few other friends over there that are just out of frame. But yeah, essentially they're very cute creatures that are made out of food, that are also, like little bugs. In terms of the speed runs, now any percent is a very fast run. Clocking in, the world record for PC is at about a little less than 15 minutes, and the console version of the same run, a little over 16 minutes. The only main difference being PC gets to exclude load times, where you can't do that so easily with consoles. But that implies that there's a lot of tricks in this game, and they are quite a bit. But I don't want people to be super intimidated by it, because a lot of these tricks are accessible no matter where you play. For example, I am playing on the PS5. That's where I choose to run the game. But all these tricks are doable on every console. This game is available for PC as well as Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, widely available, very cheap, and all of the tricks are doable. So we have just gotten through the opening cutscene. The game intends us to head this way, so it can give us a little bit of a movement tutorial, such as jumping over this, and then we'll crouch over there. You actually can even get a little sneak peek of a Bugsnax right in the corner there. However, we're not going to do that. Not going to do that. Yeah, little Frieder right there, and there he goes. If you get too close, he'll start to scurry away. We're not going to do that. One, because moving this way is slower, because you have to not only jump but crouch, which is just slower movement. But 2, there is a faster path, and it starts with a very difficult jump. So we spawn right about here. We're going to run over to these bushes and hop over here and make a tricky jump right onto this rock. Now, it's a little bit deceptive with how tricky it is. You not only have to get momentum, you have to wait just the right amount of time to jump off, or you just kind of get swatted down by the rock's geometry. So if that happens, 1, there is a backup that's pretty safe, but 2, it's more fun to show off what the full thing is supposed to look like. So let's see if we can get it here. There we go. So now we're on this rock here. That skips us from having to go through this cave here, but the trick doesn't fully end there. If I happen to fall down here, you can see there's this tree. If I zoom in right there, I can actually use that rock and hop up to this ledge here, which still skips that little bit of a tutorial, but since we've scaled the rocks, we don't have to worry about it. Then we could hop onto these bushes, this rock, and then onto this tree, but again, we don't have to worry about it. I can jump right onto the tree from here. Now, this is gonna look a little strange, but so what you're meant to do, walk through this cave, take this path across the bridge, and that bridge is going to collapse about halfway through you walking it. But we don't have to worry about that if we just jump over here, and for some reason, look down at the ground, we are walking on nothing, and the bridge also doesn't collapse. This is just an out-of-bounds barrier that you're not meant to access because you're not meant to start off that high. However, the geometry is very climbable in terms of being able to jump on the rocks and the trees, so you can easily get on top of this barrier and walk across it.
Okay, so that's like the top of the wall of the barrier that they put in there.
Yes, so it's just an invisible barrier that is connected to this bridge. There's I think, let's experiment with this a little bit. I believe on the other side here, if I jump over here, there's a wall on this side too. So there's a big wall on each side, basically meant so that you don't jump over the rope onto off the bridge over the side. Because the wall is not super high, we can actually also walk on top of it. So we're still on the wall here. Basically, to continue on with this trick, by the way, what this is doing is skipping about a 3-minute long cutscene, which has adorable dialogue, gives you a lot of information about the story. So please play the game and don't skip this cutscene the first time you play it, because it gives you a lot of lore. But it's really good for speedruns because it saves a lot of time. So we actually have 2 different ways we can go with this from here. One is a little bit more complicated, but faster, and the other one is way less complicated, but a little slower. I'm gonna try to take both and hopefully save it. So let's take the easier way first. So we're gonna go this way to the right, and then we can actually just continue walking onto these rocks as if they're nothing, and then jump up to the trees here, and that gets you around here. Let's see if we can do it the opposite way now and head back the other direction. I might fall there. We're good. Jump down here and then... Oh, don't go too far down. Jump back onto the invisible wall. Nope. All right, here's what we'll do. Let's quit out the title and just run that back real quick. Because this is a lot of explanation for what a split. The split is about 50 seconds in real time. So it's very, very fast, but we're taking the scenic route and exploring it a little bit. So that is the easier way. When we get back onto that invisible bridge, we're gonna instead go to the left now. And what that does is it gets us to that same path a little bit faster, but it's a little bit tricky. And the reason why it's tricky, it actually used to be a lot easier. But the reason why it's mainly a little bit trickier now is about a year ago now, the devs for Bugsnax, which is Young Horses, they made, I'll use the backup here so you can see it now, which is just to scale up that mountain, hop up here, and then hop back up onto the tree. Anyway, Young Horses, developer of this game, as well as Octodad, if you played that game before. They released the DLC for this game, free DLC about a year ago, and they also made some performance improvements on the game. Basically, in this first area, when people return to this first area, the first time with a specific tool that's called the launch pad, which is a pad that launches things, they were able to get out of bounds very easily, casual players, by just hopping onto the pad and launching themselves up, which made it so that they were like soft locking the game and stuff like that and not knowing where to go. So they made a few barriers a little bit higher. However, that ended up patching out a few speedrunning tricks. So what they did, a few of us in the speedrunning community brought it up in their Discord server, and what they did, so nice, such wonderful people, is they actually patched these skips back in, but then they put the barriers back up when you return to this area. So now we can do the skips, but it is a little bit harder. So we're gonna head over here.
I love companies
right?
that support speedrunning.
Yes. Shout out to the devs who don't just patch out your tricks and then tell you to deal with it. They're like, oh, okay, easy. We'll just easily put this back in.
That happened with Stray as well, actually.
Right. Yes. Stray. Fantastic dev. Fantastic dev.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah. So the invisible wall that I'm on the bridge used to extend all the way into this tree. However, when they repatched it back in, it stops just short of the tree. So the jump to get back onto this tree is now just a little slightly trickier. You just have to do it a little bit earlier and get back on. So now we're on this tree. And now we're going to come around here. We're exactly where we were, but on the other side. So we came around, the first time we came around this way, and now we're back to here. Jumping right down from here is going to skip that opening cutscene and throw us right into what our first quest is going to be, meeting our friend Phil. So we're going to jump down here. And the cutscene is basically right at the top of that ladder. So now that we've skipped that ladder, that cutscene is officially good. What the game now intends for us to do is to talk to our good boy Philbo here, the mayor of Snacksburg, figure out what he wants, do a couple quests so that he can then go over to where the loading zone is, flip the barrier off, and then we can head on with the story. We do that in categories that don't feature glitches, like no major skips or 100%, which requires you to authentically complete each of the quests. But in any percent or other glitch categories, we just want to progress the game as fast as possible. So we're going to say hi, Philbo, and then bye, Philbo, unfortunately. And we're going to run right past
him. Bye, Philbo.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to ride past him. So easier way you can do this, you can actually just head right around through this waterfall back up to this platform if this jump is a little bit tricky. But the faster way is to actually jump down here, kind of line yourself up with the geometry a little bit, and then hop up this rock. That gets you up here. And then essentially where the sign is pointing to that giant bush, is where we need to head into the next section. However, the loading zone is already loaded in. So the loading zone is there. We just have to get around the barrier, and we've developed a few different ways of doing that. I'm going to do the faster, a little bit more consistent way first, and then I'm going to attempt to do the slower way that is definitely harder. But basically from here, to do it the faster way, we're going to jump over this bush. We're going to jump onto this rock. We're going to very carefully jump over to this rock. It's a little precarious. You got to time the jump a little bit so that you don't go too far and overshoot the rock, or jump too soon and still land on the ground there. And then we're going to then jump on top of this rock here. A little tricky, but you can utilize the slope there to get you up a little bit easier. And then from here, we could just fall down into the loading zone. But I don't want to trigger it yet, so I'm not going to do that. Now let's say all that happens and you fall down, and you're like, I don't know if I want to worry about jumping up here and trying to restart that trick. Is there a way that I can get across this loading zone from the ground? And there is. It's just a little bit less consistent, a little bit more tricky. So we have the sign here that points to where we're supposed to be going. We're going to jump up onto the barrier. I can't just walk forward here, in case you were wondering. There is an invisible wall here. But if I jump carefully onto the sign, and I'm going to kind of position myself here and actually use the tip of this mountain right in front of me. I put my cursor right up on that. And I'm gonna sprint and then jump a little bit of a coyote jump to try to slope myself up right onto this rock right in front of me. So let's see if I can do it. It's a little bit tricky. So let's see if we can get it. Not quite. Let's back it up here. Back it up. There we go. So now I'm actually on top of the loading zone here, and then all I have to do is just simply move over and fall into it. And we skip all of that quest. Again, doing that in a fast method is about 45, 50 seconds, 20 seconds of that being the opening cutscene. So it's very fast.
He's fine.
Yes, he's fine. And also it's fine because theoretically in that first scene with Philbo as well, he's supposed to give you your first trap, which is the snack trap. But luckily enough, the developers were very friendly to us and made it so we could still get the trap, even if we skip Philbo's quest there, which is very nice.
That's great.
Now we enter the second area of the game, which is Garden Grove. Garden Grove is a very unique area in the game because it's the only area in the game, rather, I should say, that does not load its loading zone until you complete the quests in the area. So there is actually ways to get out of bounds into it. They have to do before I do that. I'll kind of just show you it because it's a little bit more tricky and less easy to do than a standard jump. But it basically utilizes these treetops to kind of scale on top of that like trefoil tree to get onto the rocks, to get onto that far bush. But the loading zone isn't there, so jumping over that doesn't really do anything. I'm going to actually try to restart from save here and see if I can salvage a cycle here, because there's a really cool trick that we can do here. I might not be able to do it. We're going to give it a try. So I'm going to run over here. And basically, we're going to be doing these quests as fast as we can. We now have a slingshot here that launches sauce. So we're going to do that for our good boy the Munger there. And we're also going to throw some sauce on that tree. That's going to be relevant later. And we're also going to throw some sauce on... Oh, I don't have another sauce. Give me one. We're gonna throw some sauce onto this shishka bug in the distance here. That's gonna be important. Now, I'm gonna try this. I don't know if it's gonna work with the cycle, but I'm gonna put a trap here, close it, and then try and stand on top of it. And voila, I actually just caught a Bugsnax through the ground. That is the Frieder. Basically what the Frieder, I'll show it to you now that we're jumping down here. We're gonna catch the snack. Not quite, that's fine. But basically the Frieder is actually crawling around on this floor, on this ceiling rather, of this cave. And what we used to do is we would used to jump down here, grab some ketchup, and then we'd actually stand on top of the ketchup plant like this, launch the ketchup because Frieders naturally love ketchup. That just makes sense. And then we would wait for the Frieder to get here, and then we would do a jump and throw a trap like this so that we would catch it as it scurries away. But somebody discovered, and I apologize who, I can't remember the name of the person who discovered it, but somebody discovered it said if you get a good cycle, you can actually take your trap and stand on top of it like this and then shove it through the floor from above. And that way, as long as you line up the cycle right, you can get the Frieder. And that saves about 5 seconds or so over doing it the traditional way I described it before. So that's very fast. Next, where's the other bunger? Oh, they're right here. They didn't stun each other yet, because I have spent too much time talking. So we get some more ketchup. Now, basically what we need to do is we need to get in this area, we need to get 2 shishka bugs, which is the thing that escaped into here. 1 bunger and 1 Frieder. We already got the Frieder. We just need a bunger. So I'm just gonna launch ketchup at that one. Basically what we attempt to do, and I'll, maybe before we leave, I'll kind of show you the very fast ways we do this. Try and expedite it so you can see how everything functions in real time. But basically, we launch ketchup onto this tree, which attracts both bungers. It attracts the one that there's a bunger that's like hovering right around here that sees the ketchup on the tree and runs over to it and keeps trying to like bump himself into the tree like this to try and get to the ketchup, but he's never going to get to it. The shishka bug that was here, I hit with ketchup as well, which attracts the second bunger that was over here. Run over here to see what's up with that shishka bug and stun it. Then he goes right from here to also smelling this tree, and then they keep running into each other and stunning each other over and over again. So that stuns a bunger enough for us to throw a trap. Because you can't just throw a trap for a bunger like this, as you can see, it doesn't work with the redness on the ground. They have to be stunned, and typically you would just scoop them with a net we haven't received yet. But because we haven't received it, we needed a little bit more of a clever way to do so. But for now, we'll continue on here. We're gonna just be very sneaky with this shishka bug here because they startle very easily. I'm gonna throw a trap here and catch it before it gets in there. And then that I should have, I was a little too slow and I would have caught that shishka bug before it ran into the bush, but it's actually okay. So we're actually gonna come up here, get through this dialogue sequence, and get through a couple of quests. Wambus here wants one of the Frieders. And then now it says you can see 2 shishka bugs. The one that I caught is now respawned, and the other one is still stuck in the bush. For some reason, if you catch a shishka bug here before you get the quest, any shishka bug that you caught will also respawn. I'm not really sure why, but it's not so bad that one disappeared. It's a little slower, but I can still come back and catch the same one I already caught. And now I have 2. Fun fact as well. So usually I'll do one the slow way and one the fast way. So if you just feed a bug, you can see that Wambus kind of takes his time, chews it a little bit, and then it eventually picks a limb to change into that food that you just ate, right? But if you press for PlayStation, it's X to eat, to X to feed, and then square is like the action button, the talk button, the main button you use to do everything. If you press them in quick succession like this, it actually skips the animation a lot faster, as you can see. So because this is a game of literally feeding Bugsnax to a lot of people, that saves a lot of time over runs where, such as no major skips are 100%, because that's a lot of feeding, a lot of feeding. Then we do the same thing with the bunger there, and that's actually all the, that's all of Wambus's, the farmer's quests here, but we have a few other quests that we have to do that are all just there's no glitches to circumvent these, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna skate through them as fast as I can. They're basically a tutorial quest, which is with our new friend up here that we're gonna meet in a second, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump around Filbo and come grab this journal first, and then basically Beffica would, after this cutscene would be like, hey, can you go get a journal for me? But we already have it. So saves a little time. Plus we have to wait for Philbo to get there anyway. So then we just have to open the journal and use our mashing powers to get through this. One thing worth mentioning, PC has a little bit of an edge over running on console in this regard because you can bind mashing to the mouse wheel instead of a button, which is a lot faster.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of an advantage. But yeah, that's the two first areas, and those two first areas look very similar no matter what category you're running, except the first area, obviously, if you're doing a glitch category, we could skip Bass Philbo. In a non-glitch category, we'd have to do his quests. But I'm gonna scale a rock here, and then we're gonna just watch as Philbo haunts our dreams a little bit as he just kind of stares directly into our soul. Basically, yeah, we're just walking down to the campfire. Part of the plot of the story is that we're a journalist. We actually came to Snacktooth Island to not only investigate Bugsnax, but the people who live here. So one feature of the game is actually interviewing the people who live here and learning more information about the other people, about Bugsnax, about the island, things like that. So those are key. In any percent, this is the only interview that you have to do. But in other categories, you'll have to do a few.
That's the only one?
In any percent, yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
But in no major skips, you have to do like 7. There's a lot. But basically, so we've completed this. Now I'm going to show 2 ways that we can get out of bounds, and we're going to use them differently in different categories from this point. So let's first go through the standard any percent category, right? So what we need to do for any percent is I'm going to come over here really quickly. There's this river here. Right? And essentially what we want to do is we want to cross that river into this section, and then we're going to scale the rocks up and then get up into this new area, basically skipping into a new area about 40% into the game's story or so, thus progressing the story a lot automatically for us. And there's 2 main ways we can do it. I'm going to try the harder way first. It's quite difficult, so I'm not even going to guarantee that I can get this. But basically what we do is we run this way, we time a jump, and let's see if we can do it. Not quite. But basically what we do is we're going to coyote jump right off of this fence on the last possible frame that we can do, in hopes that we get the most horizontal distance that we can. And then right as the most horizontal distance we can get is right at the water line, like right there between the water line and the ground. What we're going to attempt to do is open our journal on the exact frame that we land, which will cancel out the animation of us falling into the water and respawning us. And that will let us continue walking onto the other side. It's a very difficult thing to do on console. It's a little easier to do on PC just because you're using keyboard and mouse and have a little bit more at your disposal. But I'm going to try. I'll give it a good like 4 or 5 tries, see if we can get it.
That sounds good. Not, yeah, take your time.
We'll move on. Quite, but that was decently close. I have the world record in all of the major categories on console, and even in my world record version of any percent, I don't do this skip because it's wildly inconsistent on console. Very difficult to do, and the slower way loses 2 seconds total, maybe. So it's not even worth it in my opinion. But some people like to do it.
Yeah, because of how consistent the way is.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And that the speedrun mentality, of course, is like, if there is a 2-second time save, I want it. Give it to me. Like,
yeah.
We want to save as much time as we possibly can. But yeah, this is very difficult to do, especially in console. That was pretty close. I'll give it 2 more tries, and then we'll just do the other way. You get the general gist of what we're doing. Nope, that was the closest. Yeah, I was like, that might have been it. All right, last try. Oh, I opened the journal too early. That doesn't count. We're gonna do 1 more try. And not quite. Okay, so that's fine. Let's do the way more consistent and easier way to do that only loses maybe 2 seconds. So instead of jumping across the river like that, we're gonna use what we have at our disposal. We're gonna jump on this fence here, and there's this little hut here. We're gonna jump on that. Now we're gonna from here, we're gonna jump on top of this. It's not as simple as like jumping at the apex of the house and getting on it. It doesn't exactly work that way. What I use as like a visual indicator here, and I'm gonna kind of do this fast and then I'll explain it a little bit slower, is I wait until I dip down a little bit. So basically I go to the top of that little hut, and then at the second that I perceive that I'm going down the other side, is when I jump and then I aim for just to the right of whatever this wood beam is. I don't really know what it is. And that usually gives me enough vertical distance and slope to just kind of coast up the side of the building. So
cool.
let's give that another go here. All right. Oh, see, yeah, that's what happens when you get clocked by the beam. There's like the hitbox of that beam is bigger than the beam itself. I don't know exactly what it is, but you gotta stay clear of it. There we go. Nope, not quite. But a little trickier than it appears to be. There we go. So now we're on top of this.
Tricks like that are.
Yeah. This game is so cutesy and beautiful and multicolored that you might think that some of these tricks are just like, snap of a finger easy. They're a little harder than that, but this game is relatively accessible from a speedrunning perspective too. So you master that jump. This jump is easy. You just got to jump over to the roof of this building. And then from here, you just come over here. You can see where we need to head to on the other side, and we got enough distance to just go for it. There we are. So now we're on this side. You might have seen briefly words pop up on my screen that would have said Sugar Pine Woods. That's the name of the area we're going to go into. We just need to figure out a way to get there because this bridge hasn't fallen down, so we can't just walk up it, right? You got to figure out a way to get up there. Basically, we're just going to utilize this geometry right here. We're going to jump up and then kind of jump behind us. And this tends to be a jump that is a little bit of a deal breaker for people when they're learning this run because it looks very difficult, especially because some people want to kind of jump and then turn around, but especially on console, it's very difficult to do with a joystick. When you're using a mouse, it's a little bit easier, so some PC runners will do it. But what I use to visualize this is basically I'll aim for directly right here where all three of these rocks meet, kind of directly in the center. And then when I jump, I'm gonna look for the point where the apex of my jump stops, and then I'll start to bob down a little bit. When I bob down, that's when I hit the jump again, which will get me just enough on this platform to jump up and then head up this little ramp where the bush is. So let's see if I can put all of that together here. There we are. We head right into the loading zone.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And so if you've played this game before, you'll know that Sugar Pine Woods is, I think, the fourth area that you access, the fourth biome you get into the game. So we're doing things a little bit out of order here, but that is okay. That is perfectly fine.
Well, are we gonna go back to earlier areas later, or?
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna show.
Okay.
I'm gonna show not only the other areas, but early access into other areas as well. So we're actually from here we can actually continue this trick on even farther. So we're gonna go through Sugar Pine Woods here. There's actually, I'm not gonna get too close because I can actually soft lock myself here, but you can see that there is one of the grumpuses here. Essentially how this game functions is that they have like 8 or 9 biomes with 1 to 2 grumpuses, which is what the name of these creatures that we are and the people are. 1 to 2 grumpuses per area that have a variety of quests that you want to do in order for them to come back to Snacksburg and reunite everybody and get everyone back together, get the band back together, basically. So what we're meant to do is talk to them, learn what they want, catch the Bugsnax from this area that they're looking to do, and get them to come back home. But in any percent, we don't have time to do any of that. We're gonna instead, in any percent, come up here. This jump is very simple, actually. You just come up onto this, you want to be running the whole time, but you just come up right onto the snow pile, jump, and then jump, and you're right up there. It's very simple. And then we come to this avalanche. Now, again, if you've played this game before, once you progress enough through this story, this avalanche gets cleared by some of the other people, and this unlocks basically the last biome in the area, which is called Frosted Peak. Again, we don't have time for all that in any percent. We're going to figure out a way to get through this without going directly through the cavern. We're going to go up and over, in which, again, we have 2 distinct ways. 1, which is harder and faster, and 2, which is slower but more consistent. So, again, we'll try the harder, faster way first. So, harder, faster way is we're going to come over here on the left where this sign has fallen. We're going to run and jump over here, which is not hard. And then we're gonna attempt to jump onto the peak of this rock here, which is pretty difficult because there's an invisible wall right to my right here. So as you can see, I'm getting kind of shut down by it. But there is this little, basically right in the center of my screen here, you can see there's a little corner right there that sticks just through the invisible wall. So you can jump onto that corner and get up to the slope of the peak of this without having to worry about the invisible wall so much. but you tend to need some momentum to do that to get enough height for the jump. So I'm just gonna kind of combine all of this into one jump if we can. All right, up here, not quite.
Close.
Back down here. Now this one isn't as hard as that first river skip I was trying to do, but it is far less consistent to the point that I again don't utilize this one in my my world record run of any percent. I actually use the more consistent one because I'm all about consistency.
Yeah, that's fair.
Runs where I have to continuously grind until I get to a certain trick just for me to fail that trick have always been very frustrating to me. So I like consistency in mastering the ones that I have a little bit more control over. So
yeah, that makes sense. And it's cool because like in a show like this, we can see how the different ones work. And so if anybody wants to get into it, or they just are like, is there another way to do this? Like, voila. Cool to just be able to see the differences.
Yes.
So.
Yeah,
Cool.
which is I love Bugsnax for this because there's so many tricks that are like this. Hard way, easy way, hard way, easy way. And we get to shows like this are great because we get to see both sides of it. Luckily,
right. It's almost also like consistent, inconsistent. Consistent, inconsistent.
Exactly. I was able to get up here, luckily enough. And then from here, it's actually a lot simpler. That's the hard part of the trick. We just have to jump over on top of this invisible barrier and then fall down. But I'm not going to fall down because then that'll trigger the loading. So, but fun fact, this wall goes all the way around. I can go all the way over here. I'm walking on nothing. I can come all the way over here. There's nothing beneficial to doing so. There's not anything that helps over here. But you can walk all the way basically to the edge of this wall. And then you can get up a little bit higher on even more invisible walls, but then eventually you'll fall down and get stuck like this. So you get jammed in there. But that invisible wall goes all the way around.
Oh, wow.
So let's restart the save and we'll do the other side here. Much more easy. So we're going to run back up. Again, staying a little bit to the left here. If you go way too far to the right, you're going to trigger that cutscene. And because you haven't done the requisite requirements to get to this point yet, the game gets very confused in soft locks. So we're not going to do that.
Okay.
So now we're back here, the avalanche. Let's do the easier way, which is to come over here. You can see right in front of me here, there's this snow pile here. We're just going to run, jump up here, and then come up onto this platform. And then there's this rock right in front of me. This trick is a tiny bit difficult. Basically, you want to aim for the side here. Again, right in the center of my screen, there's a little point. You're going to want to aim for that side here. That gives you enough momentum to get there, but not enough that you'll go careening back down. So we're just going to I'm going to back up a little bit, get a running start, and then hopefully we'll get back right up on there like that. Pretty simple. And then all of a sudden, you just have to jump back down. There's a little bit of an invisible wall there, but if you jump/walk around it, it's not a problem at all. And then you can just fall down the loading zone.
Nice.
And this puts us in Frosted Peak, the last biome of the game. So right now we're about 90% through the game. The game
only
story.
shows the 3 bugs.
Yeah, I've caught 3 Bugsnax. Three total. And spoiler alert for any percent, we don't catch any more Bugsnax at all. That's all the Bugsnax we catch for any percent.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so that's all we need.
Well, we're gonna see more of that.
Yes, we're gonna see a little bit more of that. Now I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'll show you what happens in any percent from this point forward, but I'm not gonna do it yet because this game, like any good game where collecting something is a focus, it has a point of no return and it warns you about it. So basically, it's like, hey, if you progress the story past this point, you won't be able to catch any more Bugsnax,
right.
progress any more side quests, things like that. This is, luckily after the credits, you can always come back and do that stuff. But if I do this next trick, it puts me past the point of no return, and I'd have to finish the game and come back. That'll take too much time. So basically, we're in Frosted Peak now, which the game, again, very confused. Obviously the game is telling me if I'm at Frosted Peak, that means I must have done the rest of the game. Therefore, I must have gotten all the tools. So if I open up my tool wheel, I have them all, and I never got them. So they're there. You can see the only one that we had gotten was the snack trap and then the sauce slinger. But now we have all these other tools like the trip shot, lunch pad, snack grappler, buggy ball, things we never have seen yet. But typically you progress through the story and unlock those naturally. But what we're going to do is we're going to get the lunch pad, which I already kind of talked about a little bit at the beginning, is basically a launcher that launches It's more useful for launching like Bugsnax and stuff because they're lighter. They're physically lighter, so you'll get this full trajectory. But for example, if I stand on it, you can see that the trajectory shrinks because I'm too heavy. But we're gonna go into a little bit later about how we can exploit that for a few other tricks in a little bit. But first, we don't have to worry about any exploitation. We're gonna throw the launch pad here, just aim it up here. It doesn't really matter where, and then we're just gonna launch ourselves. That puts us on this door here. And then, I'm gonna do this again later, full speed, so you can see it. We're gonna utilize the trip shot now. We're gonna put it very precisely on the corner of this like rectangular block right here. And then basically the trip shot is like a suction cup tripwire. So what we get to do is we get to aim it at somewhere. And then typically you would launch it like this. And then that's what it looks like, but we don't need to launch it. We're just gonna have it aimed like this. And what I would do, and I'm not gonna do it again yet because I don't wanna progress the story this far, is I would jump and face the corner of this door. And the momentum of me jumping right into the bottom of this tool pushes me to the right, and it pushes me to the right enough that I clip right through the door.
The door, yeah.
Yep, and then but as soon as I clip through that door, if I walk a step or two, I fall through the ground and I have to finish the game. So I'm not gonna do it yet, but I will do it later. But promise me it is there. So from here, fun fact, because there is fast travel in this game for areas that you've already unlocked. We're gonna go over here. You can see the whole entire right side of my map is non-existent because I haven't been there. But if you don't hit a normal loading zone meaning one that you walk through as opposed to warping through, the game won't actually progress to the point. So for example, I'm gonna warp back to Snacksburg where we just were with Philbo. And we did that interview. I come back here, and all of a sudden we're just right back where we were. Like for example, because I unlocked Sugar Pine Woods, the bridge should be down, right? But it is not. And I can still fast travel to them because I have the game knows that I've unlocked them, but the story doesn't know that I've unlocked them. It's very confusing. So I can fast travel back and forth to them, but if I needed to progress the story for a specific reason, meaning there are categories where we don't utilize that door clip. It's a category called any % no door skip, which is a little bit longer. So we need to progress the story, but we still want to do glitches to get to that point. Then you have to walk through a loading zone so that the game has time to think for a second and then realize, okay, you are here. That means you've progressed this far. We'll repopulate with everything that we're supposed to.
Okay.
We'll show that off here actually, while we do another out of bounds. So we have the right side out of bounds that's through Sugar Pine Woods. You can also go out of bounds very easily as if you were heading towards Simmering Springs here, which is the first area you unlock once you get to Snacksburg, but we're not gonna worry about that. We're gonna hop on these rocks right around the side of this fence here. Just kind of ride it up, and then we're gonna jump onto this rock over here, and then just walk to the side, and that actually triggers another loading zone. Into Scorched Gorge, which it's only the second area, so this doesn't skip a whole ton, but it skips one full area, which is probably a solid 6 or 7 minutes storyline wise. So it's a good amount, but it gets us into this area a little bit early. Now we got to figure out let's take a look at the map here actually for a second. So the basic structure, as you can kind of see, is Snacksburg here is kind of a hub. As you can see, it has a spot above it, to the left of it, below it, to the right of it. It's kind of like the center of the wheel. And then it spokes out from there as to the other areas you can. But for example, Sugar Pine Woods has an area past it called Frosted Peak, right? So once we go through these initial areas, they all have areas just beyond those initial areas that are farther into the story. But the general idea is we want to get into the first areas as fast as we can, and then we want to figure out a way to glitch into the farther areas. So what we're gonna do, instead of doing all the story, like talking to our friend Triffany over here, or another friend from the side, we're gonna just run up the stairs here. And you can see I'll actually have the I wonder if this is gonna mess anything up actually. I have the launch pad already, which is weird because Promdo's gonna give me the launch pad right now. So I'm curious what's gonna happen because I don't usually do it this way. But basically we're gonna take his initial quest. Okay, so the only thing that's different is usually the launch pad just populates right here because we don't have it. But since I already have it, I'll just put it down myself. There you go.
That's oh, look, it's there.
Yep, and look, oh look, it's there. So basically, from here, the story wants us to take. You can see these 3 windmills have these spider webs on them. It wants us to pick up these rocks, basically, launch them at the windmills, and clear off the spider webs to get them working. But instead, we're not going to do that at all. I'm gonna move this forward a little bit more. Place it kind of precise.
I'm assuming.
I'm gonna aim at the windmills here, but I'm not gonna attempt to launch any rocks. I'm gonna try to launch myself up there. But as I alluded to before, when I stand on the pad, as you can see, the range of the launch pad shrinks a lot. So if I launch myself right here, for example, I'm not gonna go as far as I need to go. I'm gonna just fall right back down to the ground, have to frustratingly run myself back around, yada, yada, yada. But we have a trick that we learned about called the super launch that is very, very useful. Basically, basically what we do here is instead of just straight up standing on it and then launching ourselves, that's not gonna work no matter what. We're gonna trick the launch pad a little bit by essentially, and I'll try to do it on an area where I'm not gonna immediately fall down, but essentially I'm gonna put a launch pad here. I'll aim maybe on top of this rock, actually would be good. Aim on top of this rock. Get up there. On top of this rock. Again, I'm not gonna make it if I just stand on it. But if I run and get to the point where the first step off the pad, but where I still have a little bit of contact with the pad, the launch pad will give me the full trajectory of as if I were launching something small, but it will launch me there instead of something small. A little bit, again, this is a trick that's slightly easier to do on PC, but very doable on console as well. Let's see if we can get it. Here we are. I was not supposed to get onto this rock with the launch, but I was able to kind of trick it into allowing me to do so by saying that I was off the pad when I was really still on the pad. So, with that knowledge in hand, we now have a tool that allows us to get to a lot higher places than we're normally meant to have access for, such as this windmill. But up again. There. I'll see if I can launch myself effectively. Not quite, but I'm gonna hold back so I can save myself. There we go. Not quite. A little tricky to do. There we go. Super launch. You can see the difference between the two immediately.
Whoa, yes.
So now I'm on top of here. There's actually an invisible wall right in front of me that I can very easily, from this large height, just jump on top of, like that, and then fall down. Now I'm in another loading zone.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, yep.
To the next area.
Yeah, so again,
so much happening. This is quick.
Yeah, it happens really, really quick. These are all very, very fast tricks. That is what the trickiness to Bugsnax speedrunning is. It's more about getting them done fast than it is about learning them, because learning them is not very difficult, but being able to master them and do them like rapid fire is a lot more difficult. But
right.
Essentially, this gets us into Sizzling Sands. So you can see this big wide area that we have open up here. This is probably about 70-ish% through the game as well, 70 to 80%, depending. And then basically gives us the access to this wide area. You can see Shelda off in the distance, who's the person that we need to do quests for here. I'm not going to bother doing the quests really here. We don't really have to worry about it since we can progress the story in other ways. But in categories where we can't do the door skip, like any % no door skip, you would actually have to do these quests in order to progress the story enough so that the door opens on its own, because you still need to go through the door. But obviously the fastest way to do that is clipping through it. We're not going to worry about that right now, but we'll have to do a few of the quests in order to progress the story far enough here. But we could skip all the way to 75% through the game and do it that way. A lot easier.
Right.
Than starting from the very, very beginning. So let me just pull up. Let's here. Just pulling up my list of events here, because there's a lot. Right now, I'm at various points through the game at once. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to accidentally soft lock myself here. We did Avalanche Skip. We got into Early Gorge, and then I showed off the super launches, and we got into Sizzle Skip. So now let's actually go. Let's progress the story the way it's supposed to. So, for example, I'm going to warp back to Scourge, which is the place I just left. I jumped on top of the windmill and got into this area. You can see that Cromdo is still over there because the story has not progressed, and you can see that the fence is still there that I was not able to pass through to get onto this bridge. But now let's warp back. Actually, I don't need to warp back. I just walk backwards. And now I'm in. Now that I'm in sizzling sands again. Now let me walk backwards again. Now the game's gonna freeze here for a second. That's normal. Don't worry. My capture card didn't give up or anything like that. The game just needs to think.
Out.
It needs to think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do? How did you progress the story? What has happened? And as you can see, now that I'm in Scorch Gorge, that is a different person there entirely, and the fence is gone. I'm actually gonna just jump to the side here. That just skips a little bit of dialogue from Chandlo there. But basically, now that I have progressed the game to the point that it thinks I should be based off of the areas that I have now unlocked. I'm now officially like 80% through the game, and not so unofficially. But now we can go back to Frosted Peak, and I'll show off that little door skip there. And then what we'll do is we'll do the door skip, and we'll finish the game because there are some exploits that go into like the end gauntlet thing of the section of the game. And then I'll show off a little bit of the DLC. Because the DLC has some unique skips and tricks to it as well. But then that'll be it, because you kind of have all of the tricks and tips, everything you need to kind of get into all these loading zones early.
Gotcha. Well, so I was gonna say, are there any special things when collecting like Bugsnax throughout the game that you have to keep in mind, or any strats that make it easier aside from the beginning that you showed off with the...
Sure. Yeah. So for catching Bugsnax, there are quite a few different exploits that are a little bit different than intended, I would say. One that I always see people have struggling with casually, or what I like to call the compound Bugsnax, which are basically bit larger Bugsnax that when you defeat them in some way, like if they're on fire, you extinguish the fire, or if they're frozen, you melt them or something like that. They break apart into smaller Bugsnax. But people don't know how to catch the bigger version. They want to catch just the big one and not the smaller pieces of it. So Frosted Peak is actually a good example. I'll have to trigger this dialogue here to do it though, which is fine. That's not a problem. I'm just going to get her to talk a little bit. And then, so she's moving out of the way. There's a big Bugsnax that spawns over here. Where is it?
It's not my fave, but it's okay.
Where is it? Oh, maybe it's not here because, oh no, there it is. Okay, there it is. Scooby Banoopy. Big giant, banana split. Big giant banana split. It's frozen. For example, when it hits you, you get frozen solid like this. So you can't just catch it with your trap. It's obviously also too big. You can stun it, like this, for example. But if I try to catch it, can't because it's frozen. So how do you catch big snacks like this? Oh, I'm like stun locked into being frozen here. Okay, there we go. All right. So how do we catch this? So I'm gonna kind of lure him in here. You can't go too fast or he'll just give up on chasing you. But what I'm gonna do as an exploit here, light myself on fire, extinguish him. Now he has this countdown going on. That's the countdown to him exploding into the smaller Bugsnax. But instead, I'm gonna throw that trap there, and now he's stunned, and now I can pick him up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so instead, what it wants you to do is probably something along the lines of throw your tripwire here and shoot it because, as you can see now, it's on fire as well. So it's like a combo of both. But because, one, the length of doing so is quite high to the point that I could crouch under this and not trigger it, makes it so that the Scooby Banoopy will easily just walk under it as well. So that's not going to work out too well. It's a lot faster to just light yourself on fire like this and then run into it. And also, this gives you a little bit of a speed boost as well. You move slightly faster when you're on fire.
Because you're on fire.
yes, which is also very good. Anyway, so yeah, that's just a good way to do that as well. And I'm also going to show off, you had mentioned right before we started the show that one of your favorite Bugsnax is the mini cake legs.
Yes.
Which is in one of the boss fights there as well. They're essentially in the base game. There are 4 bosses or legendary snacks, as they're called in the game. They are unlocked through completing various side quests so that you can access the fights and stuff like that. 3 of them are you just complete them in fast ways, so there's not like glitches or exploits in order to complete those. But the Daddy Cake Legs has a lot of exploits that you can do to speed up the cycles of it, so I'll show that off as well.
Sweet.
Another trick here, and I think I haven't tried this since they did the DLC, to be honest, so they might have patched this out. So let's see. Actually, I don't even see it in there. Oh yeah, actually, I won't be able to do this here. You have to progress the story farther. But you can see here a little bit that there are Bugsnax frozen in the ice. Like there's a one there. There's they're even, you can tell they're alive because that one just blinked, but they are frozen in the ice. Basically, they want you to melt them, catch them normally. But let me see if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it with all these other ones, but there are ways to throw your trap here. If I can get it close, and basically do a very similar thing to what I did with the Frider, which was close the trap, stand on it, and then open it back up, and then try to tilt the trap into the ice, and I could be able to catch the Bugsnax through the ice. I think.
Oh wow.
I think based off of the fact that I can't really close these, and that it also comes up with a red area of effect on the ground, they probably patched this out, which is fine because it's not really useful in speedruns anyway. So it's probably more to avoid casual players exploiting than it is for speedrun. But yeah, it looks like they patched it out. But that is something that you used to be able to do, which was somewhat useful for 100% for one specific Bugsnax, which is the Praying Picantus, which is usually in this ice block, but he's not there as you can.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of weird exploits like this. Let me show off one other thing before I do the door skip as well. Basically, one key to having some success in catching Bugsnax is utilizing Bugsnax to combat other Bugsnax. Sometimes the game intends for you to do this, and sometimes it's not so easy. For example, yes, we have both. I wasn't sure if it was late. You can see here we have the Stoodler, and we have the Chili Nilly, which is a flying ice cream sandwich. The Chili Nilly is frozen. You can't just throw a trap up there and catch it. The Stoodler is on fire. If you try to catch her in a trap, it'll just burn the trap. So how do you catch these two snacks? It seems impossible. Well, it's not so impossible at all. We're gonna if you scan a Bugsnax, it gives you its walking trajectory, which is what I do just to make this a little bit easier. I'm gonna throw a trap in the walking trajectory and aim it at the Chili Nilly, launch Stoodler, and it extinguishes both at the same time. I can capture both.
That's sick.
Yes. So that is how that somewhat intended, but somewhat unintended as well, I would say. I would say this one is probably more intended because they put a frozen thing and a fire thing right next to each other. But that being said, some of those Bugsnax are dependent on what the time is in the game that they'll even be there. So, for example, I think Stoodler only comes out at night, or Chili Nilly only comes out at night. So if they're not there, Chili Nilly only comes out between 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. So if the Chili Nilly is not there, I cannot catch the Stoodler. There's no way. There is no way to catch it. So you have to be able to utilize the time as well as the snacks themselves. So
that's like also planning and when you're running around in each area. Yeah, that's a lot.
That actually goes a lot into routing larger categories in this game, like 100%. We'll intentionally save areas for later because we know that as we progress through the game naturally, the time will continue to progress. So, for example, we want to get to Frosted Peak when it's nighttime, so we can catch both of those at the same time. Otherwise, we have to find a bed and sleep in it to advance the time, which wastes a lot. That's not ideal if we could avoid it. So, but we come back down here. Let's go back through. Let's go back through and do our little door skip here, I think.
Come on, Egg.
Oh well. Fine, Eggabell, we'll talk. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna throw my trap here. Again, just going over all the same stuff we already did. Put that here, and it looks pretty easy. Just hop right through, fall down. That's it. Now we're in Snacksburg. Under Snacks, which is like there's like 10 minutes left of the game probably once you're at this point.
Right.
This
is where it gets really dark.
Yes, it gets a little dark here. This is where people decided, wait, is Bugsnax a horror game? I'm not entirely sure.
Kinda, yeah.
It is a little bit. It is a little bit, but it still has such a colorful heart to it. That I choose to not look at it that way, as well as I'm a baby when it comes to horror games, so I can't do them. I get too scared. So if this is a horror game, I should be scared of it. So I can't be. I can't be scared of it, or else I'd have to stop playing. Okay, so Under Snacks, this is a famous area that speedrunners have tried to break so long, and we can't break it. So if any of you out there are glitch hunters or things that like to break games open and find glitches, spend your time at this area, because if we can skip through parts of this section, we could save 2 to 3 minutes probably. There's a lot of time and a lot of mandatory text. But the reason why we think there's something here, by the way, is if some of you out there are familiar with IGN, they have done a series in the past of devs react to speedrunning. Basically, they'll take a speedrun of a game, they'll get developers of that game to watch the speedrun and then have them react to it. They did one with Bugsnax within the first month it came out, because this game got broken pretty quickly. And they hinted at the fact that there is a skip in here somewhere. They didn't tell us exactly what, and when I've questioned them about it, they still won't give up any information. But basically what we have found up is that, as you can see, it's a giant cavern, right?
Yes.
Anything around the cavern is a loading zone. The entire thing. If we can just break through any part of the floor, the ceiling, the walls, any part of it, we'll hit the loading zone and trigger it. But we cannot do it. The main reason why we can't do it is I don't have access to tools. I can't sprint. I can jump, but that's all I can do. So I can only move this fast, which is not ideal. But basically, once you go too far forward here, it triggers into this cutscene, which we'll do in a second. But let's see. We did find out that you can kind of manipulate yourself up the walls here and get up onto the ledge. It keeps freezing me out, but let's see if we can. Come on. Easier said than done. If you actually look down at your feet, I'm not touching anything, but it shows that it's still walking, because the game is a little bit confused as to why we're just hovering in midair right now. But you can get essentially, let's see if we can get up onto this ledge where these other Bugsnax are just kind of chilling up here, but we can't get any higher, so we can't get them through the ceiling, and it doesn't accomplish anything. So please, glitch hunters, come help. We appreciate it.
There you go.
Yes, that's
call to action.
The call to action. Yes. So I'll go in. There's no glitches here. This is one of the. Okay, so I guess 80% has 2 interviews technically, because this does count as one as well. I'm not going to spoil what is going on right here. Play the game. It's been out for a few years. It's so affordable. I think it's less than $10 right now on Steam. If I'm not
I was going to
mistaken.
say. I mean, this part's obviously like a little spoilery, but just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And
I won't explain it to you.
Don't look at the dialogue and go play it. It's super fun too. Just figure out how to catch all the bugs.
Yes.
The Bugsnax.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the devs are really cool. The DLC that they added last year added a ton of content. Not even just new Bugsnax, but it added in these mail quests. There's 110 of them to do. It gives you the ability to have your own hut and customize it. It's lovely. Lovely.
Wait,
So play it.
I haven't done that. I haven't played the DLC.
It's free. Go play it. It's lovely, and we'll see it a little bit here. I won't spoil anything about it, but I wanted to show off a few tricks that are in the DLC as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're just mashing through this. I won't have you pay too close of attention to it. One trick here, if you mash the action button, you can trigger a dialogue there, and it actually speeds up the loading area of that section by about 3 seconds for some reason. I don't know why.
Nice.
I don't know why that happens. But basically, as long as you talk to Eggabell in some form there, the loading speeds up by like 3 seconds. Here we are, though. We're back in Flavor Falls, the first area that we did all the skips in. It looks a little bit different now. And we're basically into this gauntlet section where everyone needs to escape the island for some reason that I won't go into. And we have to utilize all the tools that we've gotten through the game in order for us to survive. So we're just gonna make our way through these areas again. One neat little thing I can do, and if I miss it, I'm just gonna keep trying, is we can actually parkour on top of these treetops, as opposed to jumping down and then coming up this pathway like Philbo's trying to do right now. A lot faster, probably by a second or 2 in that screen. So, a lot faster there.
Right.
And then we're in the gauntlet section. The gauntlet is essentially, it's a series of 6 mini games, for lack of a better term, utilizing slightly different variations of all the tools we've unlocked in the game to this point. So for example, this first thing is our snack trap, but it's become a snack shop now. because we're no longer interested in capturing Bugsnax. We are just interested in defeating them. Not going to go into why, but first thing here is we can exploit this a little bit by actually being a little patient and going a little slow. So we're gonna pop the trap there, wait for them to come into it, and then lay it down. And you get 5 to 6 all at once. Then I'm gonna actually do it there, get them all in advance, and then start to jump down so that I'm infinitely that much closer to the next minigame. That saves probably 3, 4, 5 seconds on its own if you do that optimally. Second minigame, instead of our grappler, we now have a punching bag. It wants you to hit these from head on, but if you actually come to the side, you can defeat them in 1 hit as opposed to 2 separate hits or 4 separate hits like this.
That's so smart.
Yep, and then we're going to trigger a little loading zone here. There's these things that are going to pop out of the ground, but I'm just going to hit them before they do so. Oh, I missed that one. That's fine. Then this door opens. Again, it wants you to hit them forward. I'm going to jump behind them and then hit them in this direction. I actually waited a little bit too long and they exploded. But if you do that fast, get out of there. If they do that fast enough, right now it's a little bit frozen because there's a Bugsnax trapped in this water here. But that's fine.
Oh.
But what you do, instead of hitting them forward and then hitting the Bugsnax that they explode into, you hit them towards Shelda and Floofty there. And that way, when you hit them towards them, they'll actually start eating the snacks as well. So when they explode, they'll eat a bunch of them, which saves you a lot of time in punching them. So you can do that part in as much as like 25 to 30 seconds faster than intended.
Right, and they're not like they haven't eaten any Bugsnax because you skipped all of that, so
Yes.
they're totally safe. To
Yes,
do so.
great point. This game has a happy ending unless you don't do any of the side quests, in which it could be devastating, the ending. All of these characters, besides Filbo and yourself, obviously, can die. Actual die.
Yes.
Like turn to dust, Avengers Infinity War level die.
It's horrifying.
And they always leave off with like the saddest quotes about how, regrets about their life. It destroyed my heart. Luckily enough for us, it's faster to do the better ending. So I'm glad I don't have to suffer through all of this.
Yes.
This mini game, there is actually nothing you can do to speed it up or slow it down. These are all on set spawns. So I mean, it's just funner to press buttons than not press buttons, but the only thing that you can slow down is the very last wave here of the, I think these are Charmallows, if I remember correctly, flying s'more creatures, essentially. He's going to throw a log up there. You want to get this one done as fast as possible, but while they're doing it, I'm actually going to run back here and try to get caught in between these 2 planks of wood. And that's actually just a little optimization that gets me infinitely closer to where the next mini game is. Otherwise, I'll have to wait right around where Chanlo and Snorpy are, wait for that cutscene to play out, and walk all the way back there. So it probably saves about 2-3 seconds.
You got it.
Now, this mini game is notorious. This is the mini game that defeats speedrunners. But
Okay.
I'm gonna show you a very easy way to do it. The reason why, so I'm gonna pause it here so it doesn't progress without me.
Sure.
This is a mini game that's actually deceptively simple to do casually. It basically, you can see all these barrels to the left of the screen in the launch pad. What it's gonna do is it's gonna spawn Bugsnax that you have to launch the barrels at to defeat. It's not hard to do casually because as you could see with the launch pad, you can actually hone where the barrels are going to go. And as far as Bugsnax go, you can actually pinpoint them so that the barrel will always hit them. Problem is, we want to speed this up somewhat. We don't want to just have one barrel defeat one Bugsnax. Ideally, we want to have the barrel defeat the entire wave in one shot. So what we're going to do, that requires very careful, not only timing of when to launch the barrels, but the location as to which you launch the barrels. So I'm going to unpause here, get through it. I'm going to run up here. I'm going to precisely place that here and then launch it now. As you can see, they're all going to die in one shot like that. Then now I'm going to actually pre-set up my next one. Now I'm going to put the cursor here. See, I'm defeating whole waves with one barrel as opposed to 3. We're going to time this a little carefully.
Yeah, kind of like they do in the example.
Exactly. So timing this a little carefully. You actually don't want to launch these ones too early. Not only it'll probably miss, but if you do it too early, the next wave will kill the middle Bugsnax immediately, which means that you can't defeat them all at once because it's dependent on you hitting the middle Bugsnax when all of them are closed. Oh, I'm gonna miss them this time though. Darn. Okay, that's fine. So this one's a bad wave. That's fine. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the casual way. Doesn't lose a lot of time. But we're gonna put our cursor back here. This is the only wave that you can't do in one shot. You can do it in two though. So we're gonna do that middle three and then wait for a very particular timing where those two P-poofs kind of merge and then launch the barrel specifically then right when they're about to merge, and then you can defeat 3 and then 2. So that was almost the most optimal way you could do that game, besides that one wave that I failed. But heading on over here, this there's not much to exploit this one. As you can see, we got our buggy ball here, which is the thing that just rolls around on the ground. The only thing that you can do to expedite this process is just know where they're going to spawn. You can also jump over here to get just a closer look as opposed to doing it from infinitely farther away. Not much I could share here about doing that. Just learn where they spawn, and then defeat them as fast as possible. That's all you got to do. But it is a little bit longer there. Probably like, this game's probably like, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 seconds, something like that. Mm-hmm. But pretty simple. For some reason, it's coming up here in just a second, I think. After this wave, there's a wave that you can see they all kind of come out of the ground like this after these two apples here. For some reason, there's one wave where they just decide to appear instead of like have the animation like that. They just appear. I don't know why, but that's the one that usually trips people up because they look for the ground erupting, but that doesn't happen there. So just be aware of that.
Must have just forgotten to put the animation there.
I guess so. Or my theory as well is that they probably tried to make this a little bit harder because people were probably starting to predict this. So they probably tried to make it purposely a little bit more difficult for people so that they didn't necessarily succeed immediately.
I'm like getting like a little bit of what's the word? Trypophobia with those holes for some reason.
Yes. Yeah. My fiance, who I got her into Bugsnax, as I have a lot of people now at this point. She has that trypophobia or whatever it's called. She has that as well. So the Strabbies were a little bit difficult for her to look at, but she got through it. Okay.
Strabbies?
Yeah.
Strabbies are fine. Yeah, it's usually just like stuff on people.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that's not important.
Yeah, no worries. This one is we just have special sauce, which is a unique sauce. Nothing here to learn how to do besides you just want to preemptively put sauces where the Bugsnax are going to run into each other the fastest. So as you can see, instead of putting them all directly in the middle, I put them on the sides there because then they just charge at each other. And then you just do the same thing 3 times. Unwritten rules, you have to hit Wambus with sauce. You have to hit him and you have to hit the owl. There's a few unwritten rules to Bugsnax speedrunning, and that's one of them.
Okay.
You just got to hit him with the sauce. Because he just goes, ow! When you hit him. It's funny. That's the end of the gauntlet here. You get a little tease at what some of the legendary Bugsnax are going to be here. That's one of them there. There is another one getting ready to fly over. There it is. I'm not going to do either of those fights because there's no exploits for them, unfortunately, that we found at least. But we'll show off one of them here in a second.
Thanks, Liz. Egg.
And then I'm just gonna wrap up. The game has about 1 minute left in terms of the speedrun, so I'll just wrap it up and get us to the credits, and then I'll load up another existing save file so that we can check out a few other tricks right before we go here.
In the DLC, yeah.
Yes, in the DLC.
And so for those who tune in for shows, I know this is a bit of a shorter show, but we have GDQ Stiff. You know, everybody's getting ready for PAX East coming up, which is exciting. And so being able to provide a little extra time for our very hardworking production team to get ready for that is always a good thing. But yeah, it was worth having this game on the show for sure as well.
Yes, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I during my show that I was hosting earlier, I kind of alluded to it as well. We are going to be at PAX East. So GDQ is going to have some representation there. If you like Bugsnax and you happen to be going to that event, I'm going to be running the All Bosses category for that. So, which is a really cool, one of my favorite categories to do. It's a little longer. The estimate I have set is about an hour, but it's really cool because it has a lot of these glitches that I've shown, but it also has the boss fights, which are really, really fun. You get to see, it's a whole different mechanic in this game. So right now we're at the end here. I wanted to show off another unwritten rule, which is that you have to launch a shell at Philbo. I don't make the rules. That's just, you have to do it. You have to do it. It's from a speedrunning perspective, by the way, you can absolutely ruin your run in that dialogue sequence, the entire run, because if you're not careful, you can actually say to Philbo that you want to go back, which means that you have to do the entire gauntlet sequence again, which is like 9 minutes. So it's very, very slow. So some people, we affectionately we refer to it as "Hey buddy," because that's the first line that Philbo says there. He says, "Hey buddy." And if you "hey buddied" yourself, that means you ruined your run by accidentally picking the wrong dialogue option. So
Oh no.
yeah. But here we are. We're at the credits. We beat the game in a very extended any % fashion. But
Did it.
yes, I'm just gonna quit the title here because there's nothing. There is weirdly enough. If you're a movie fan, you know how movies have a post-credit scene, right? There is a post-credit scene in this game. So stick around for the credits if you happen to play it, because
Yes.
it teases some
Agreed.
other things. But let's get into this save file here. So we'll start here. This actually loads directly into the DLC. This is just a 100% save file. But this is the DLC area. It's called Broken Tooth. It's a whole new biome created for the game that has, I think it's 12 different Bugsnax. 12 Bugsnax that they added. 11 plus this one other Bugsnax that's in a secret area as well called the Cappuccino. But this is a really cool area. Basically, about 3/4-ish through the story, you can unlock it. It requires you to complete some of the side quests. Basically, the side quest line of any character that's involved with the DLC, which is Snorpy, Triffany, Shelda, and Floofty. So you have to complete their side quests. But basically, what you do, it's a series of quests that involve not only catching these Bugsnax, but solving a bunch of different puzzles and making it happen as well. As you can see, though, what makes this a little bit tricky, you head down here, is the Bugsnax are giants. They're all
So
big.
big.
Yeah, they're all huge. This is the DLC is actually called the Isle of Big Snacks.
Big stuff.
Big Snacks, yeah. So they're all giant. Every Bugsnax you can find in here is giant, and the mechanic that they added to it is basically called it's a shrinking spice, which I'll just show it off over here really quick. There's no tricks involved with this. I like highlighting what it is that it does. So shrinking spice is here. You come over here. You got a time limit. You throw it on the Bugsnax. It shrinks. Then you want to set up somewhere so you can trap it. For example, with the bunker. Oops. Let's see if we can get it done. Come back around. Come back around this way. Run into it. Stun it. Are you joking? Okay.
Oh my gosh. It's
Please.
too small for it now.
Okay. That's a glitch. I don't know what just happened. He walked right through it. He walked immediately through it. Okay. But basically, you get the trick. You know, we would stun it, and then I would be able to capture it. That's all it is. But anyway, so in these areas now, they're going to be unlocked, I think, already. So it'll look a little visually different. But basically, you can see here, there's this big doorway. And then if I come up here, there's also another big doorway right here. Now, a lot of these doorways, they actually have, there are these puzzles. They're big, giant buggy ball puzzles. Let me see, actually, is this one still? Actually, this will probably be unlocked too. Yeah, I don't have one to show. But basically, you take your buggy ball, this thing, you put it on the ground, and it's basically like a little maze that you have to navigate through. And some of them have Bugsnax inside of them that like pick up your ball and like throw it out and stuff and try to make it difficult. The problem with these puzzles is that they're often very slow. As you can see, this wall is kind of big, so you have to navigate up to the top of the wall, basically. Doing the puzzle, even in a fast manner, probably takes like 30 to 40 seconds. So we wanted to find ways that we could try to skip these puzzles, and we went back to the well and pulled out some of our old tricks. Namely, we wanted to use a super launch for them. So, for example, this puzzle, and I'll just go over the normal way, which is essentially just to jump on this bouncing platform.
Oh,
But
okay.
what this puzzle has is there's actually a giant egg that sits in here as well, which is for another quest. And basically, this deviled eggler right here, they always start in an egg. So you have to take the eggs, come all the way over here, all the way down. I'm not going to jump down so I don't have to walk all the way back up, but come all the way down here to where this big spoon thing is, put it in that little cup, and then the spoon thing will fall and crack the egg. So that's how you make it so that they're able to be caught and unlocked. You have to do that 3 times for a particular quest. But so you'd have to do this buggy ball puzzle, drag the ball over here, get it all the way down there and unlock it. All of that takes a lot of time. So instead of doing the buggy ball puzzle, we're gonna attempt to throw our launch pad right up here. Might not be far enough. I might have to move the pad, but we're gonna try it from here anyway. And then we're gonna super launch ourselves on top of this. Yeah, it wasn't. So that was a successful launch, but I need to move the pad closer because it still didn't give me enough distance. Put it a little closer like that. That's good. All right, so I'm gonna try and super launch myself again. Nope, not quite.
You know all about super launches now, which is cool.
Yes, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but for practice, if you look at your feet, and then basically when you're about here, where you're kind of on the pad and kind of not on the pad, that's where you want to launch yourself. So if it's easier for you, set the launch there. Look at your feet and do it kind of. You do still have to get a running jump to do it, but just look at your feet and kind of slow it down a little bit and launch yourself. That's kind of how I got a little bit better at it. But even so, I am not anywhere near the best in the speedrunning community at doing these tricks, because specifically the launch tricks, because they're quite difficult to do.
Right.
I'm gonna wait for this deviled egg to pass so I don't light myself on fire, and then I'm gonna attempt to super launch myself. This one is especially tricky because every time if you go just too far, you're just gonna end up in the water. So you always have to walk yourself back around.
Keep going.
Yeah.
See if there are any questions. I did have a question earlier. It was mostly about the difference, like between working with controller and how to. Let me see. I like to relay questions when I see them.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I know I could talk at length about this game, so sorry if I haven't given you opportunities to jump in there. I get
fine. You're making my job really easy today.
Oh, good. I'm glad to do that at the very least. There we go. Got the super launch finally.
Somebody says, is controller ideal for speedrunning, and how do you select the right tool quickly with a controller? And I know you've talked a little bit about it tonight, but
yes, yeah. So if you're playing this, if you're doing the speedrun on PC, you can definitely do controller. I personally, I'm not a big mouse and keyboard player in general. I just find that it gives me a little bit of pain in my wrists and stuff like that, and it's just not ideal for how I like to play games personally. But you can definitely use controller on this. The PC versions are fully controller capable. However, I would say that the most optimal, fastest possible way to do it is probably to do it with mouse and keyboard. If you're a fan of like first-person shooters, you'll hear from all of them that playing on keyboard and mouse is infinitely more precise in terms of where you can aim and stuff like that. And technically, this game is a first-person game, so you get a lot more precision. Again, you don't have to worry about like shooting things, luckily, but it gives you a lot more precision. Plus the things that I mentioned about being able to remove load times as well as bind scrolling to the mouse wheel make it that it's the fastest possible way to do it. But it's really not far different. Like if, for example, my world record versus the PC world record, if I had my loads removed, I think I'm maybe 30 seconds off, something like that.
Ooh, nice. Wow.
And most of that time would be found in me having to mash on a controller versus being able to get it done as fast as possible with the wheel. So, and all of the tricks are the same outside of that. So, things like super launches and the fact that, for example, on keyboard as well, all of your tools can be mapped to the number keys. So instead of me having to go into the tool wheel, use my joystick to pick a tool and then select it, you can just say hit 5 and then you'll pull out this slingshot faster. So there are some slight optimizations, but none of them are inconvenient enough that it makes you specifically want to run on PC, in my opinion. And also we have the leaderboard split between PC and console. So if you are wanting to run this game on console, if you're someone like me who finds that a little bit easier or a little bit more comfortable to do, you could still get top level times, world record times, if you run it on really any console. Is eligible. Maybe not Switch because they're so much slower than Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 that even a high level Switch run might not compete, but they're still quite competitive at it.
Right. That's a great answer.
Yeah, of course, of course. I was able to successfully super launch myself here. So imagine that the puzzle is still here. I don't have a save file where it's not here, unfortunately. But basically what we would hear, we see this torch here and the egg would be right in front of the torch. We would then pull out our snack grappler and we'd be able to grapple the egg up from here and then up over the wall and around. Now you have to be very careful though, because if you, for example, bobble the egg and drop it and it lands on that torch, it stays on fire permanently and you can no longer grab it. So you would have to do the buggy ball puzzle, come and jump into the water right here and then pull, I happened to land on the guy, and then pull the egg in from here so that when you capture it, you don't light yourself on fire because you're standing in water.
Gotcha.
So that would negate your trick entirely. So you have to be a little bit careful there. You essentially skipping puzzles like that, there's probably like 3 to 4 of those kinds of puzzles in the Isle of Bugsnax area, and we utilize the super jump to eclipse most of them. We can't skip past there's one final buggy ball puzzle before the boss of this area that you can't skip around, because even if you get through it, you need people to follow you in there. So you won't progress, the story won't progress anyway. But for example, here is another area that has a buggy ball puzzle in order for you to access this room. Instead, and then there's I'll showcase this a little bit here. There's a staircase that leads to an area above that you have to access as well. But instead of having to do that puzzle, if you don't want to, aim your super launch up here, launch yourself up there, and skip that puzzle entirely. Then finally, the bridge is going to be down here because I believe this was my casual 100% file, so I did everything by the book here. But there's a bridge here, but this bridge is usually retracted to this side. But you need to access the shrink spice in order to get some of these other Bugsnax here. So what it wants you to do is a very long and convoluted process. You can see there's one of these trampolines that a Bugsnax called the Lobsteroni was carrying around on the other side near the river. What it wants you to do is it wants you to take this Lobsteroni, lure it all the way over here, which is very slow and uses a lot of sauce, to then pick up this bouncing pad. And then once it walks around here, which you also have to wait for, then you can jump on it and then get over to the other side. Takes a very long time to do that, probably like a minute and a half or something like that. Very long. Instead, as you can guess,
for speedrunning times,
instead, as you can guess, what we're gonna do is we're gonna super launch ourselves instead, infinitely faster. So we're gonna hopefully attempt to do that. There we go. Super launch yourself over here, and then we immediately have access to the spice. And if you don't say you needed to come back to this area once or twice, you can actually open the bridge from here. But basically how you open the bridge is you have to make sure both of these lanterns are lit. When you get here, only one of them is. Just throw down your I have it somewhere else, I guess. Throw down your tripwire and then light the other one from the other side by aiming it over here. But now you have access to the shrink spot. But essentially every exploit that is in the DLC area of the game is all reliant on super launches to skip around and things. So that's most of the DLC. The last thing I'll show off, and then we'll be done. I know I'm probably a little bit over an hour and a half at this point, but I just get to talking. So.
Oh, you good?
Good. Good. All right. I'm glad I'm not taking too much time. I'm going to show off that one boss exploit. I believe I don't have anything else. I'm just going to check my checklist. Yeah, that's it. We're just going to do
Daddy Cake Legs.
Daddy Cake Legs fight here. So I'm gonna warp over to Frosted Peak. So yeah, again, these legendary snacks are all accessed by completing specific quest lines, side quest lines. For example, the Daddy Cake Legs fight is only accessible after you basically get to the end of Snorpy's quest line. And this is, like I mentioned, the only fight that is exploitable in terms of we're able to speed it up. The other is just about knowing cycles and how to most optimally do things, which is cool, but it's not a trick, really. It's just learning how to do something fast. Oh, you know what? Actually, I see that they're... All right, I got to try this one time. I see that the Praying Pig contest is in this ice block now. Let me see if I can capture it through the ice, and then I'll do the fight. Let's see if we can get it. All right.
The babies are there.
Let's see. Get over. Yeah, it might be patched out. It might be. I don't know for sure. I'd have to look into it. Get on over there. Try it. A little bit. Yeah, the reason why this is faster if you're able to do it, if it's not been patched out, is because Praying Picantus is one of those compound bug snacks, just like the Scoopy Banoopy that we caught earlier.
Yeah.
The difference being it's on fire as opposed to being frozen. So you have to extinguish it first and then find a way to stun it while it's still whole in order to capture it, which all of that takes a bit of time. However, if that trick isn't patched out, you're able to capture it in its full form right through the ice. So that probably
Really
saves
cool.
like 20 seconds or so, if I had to guess. But anyway, yeah, so it looks like it might have been patched out though, so but just a cool trick that used to be in there. Here's the Daddy Cake Legs fight. We're gonna summon it. Now
And the babies.
Daddy Cake Legs, and I know the name sounds a little funny. It's basically the name is because it's a father to the mini cakes, and it's based off of a daddy long legs. Okay, so yeah,
Right.
Not anything nefarious or dirty, I promise. So how you start this fight? So now that we've triggered it, you can see that there is a candle on top of this. What you are intended to do is you're just going to throw your tripwire up here, aim it at the wick of the candle like that, and then you light it on fire. That starts the fight. We're going to do exactly that, but instead of just standing back and letting everything play out, we're actually going to jump right on top here, and we're going to light the wick and then run into the wick at the same time so that we light ourselves on fire. So we're going to do that. Light myself on fire, and I'm going to kind of run around here. Let's see if we can get both. And did I get any of them? No, I didn't. But basically what you do is you can see here, Daddy Cake Legs, it has a candle on each side of its body. Not its legs, like the actual like rainbow colored candle right on the side. What you need to do to accelerate the phase is you need to light each side of those candles. But if you light yourself on fire and you position yourself, basically what I try to do is by running around on top of Daddy Cake Legs while I'm on fire, I'll be able to light the wicks of those candles with my body, which it takes way less time than doing it the intended way, which is to have it, target one of these ice blocks, wait for it to walk by, and then catch the wick on fire. So this is the intended way. Luckily, we got a few chances at this because this boss fight is 3 phases. This is the first phase still. But you can see there now he has got one side on fire. Very graciously loads up the second side for us. I appreciate that. And we're gonna launch it there. Oh, I missed. There we go. So now both of them are done. He burrows underground, he goes missing. What the game intends for you to do, by the way, in case you're ever stuck, you're meant to follow the mini cake legs here. Again, Foo's favorite. They're so cute. Look how cute they are. They're adorable, right?
I can't hear them right now, but I can picture it. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, they're super cute. They just go like mini. Yeah, it's very, very cute.
Oh, they're so cute.
But basically, you want to follow them, and they'll take you to where the next phase of the boss fight is. Luckily enough for us, the phases are they're static. They never change, so we know where they are at this point. So here's the second phase, and you can rinse repeat on phase 2. It's harder to do with each phase. Daddy Cake Legs gets smaller, which means that the surface area that you have to run around on top also gets smaller. So it gets a little bit more difficult with the second phase. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna try the same thing here. Got one.
Oh, nice.
I think I got one. But so you can see there, he's starting that fight off with one of the wicks already ready to go, which makes this phase a lot easier because this is the hardest phase typically. But now, as you can see, that it really accelerates the phase. He's already out of phase 2 and on to phase 3. Phase 3 is all the way over here. It takes a little bit of walking. One thing I'll mention as I'm heading over here, one advantage to PC. So Launchpad is obviously a very useful tool in terms of super launches to get to places that are usually out of reach, but it's also a very fast way to move. If you're able to very quickly like drop a trap, put it forward, and then super launch yourself forward, it's faster than walking. Really hard to do that consistently on console because we don't have the ability to pull out traps while we're moving. because again, I have to pull up this wheel to utilize my traps. So it's not as easy to do, but you'll see a lot of time PC runners will do this thing where they'll pull out the trap, drop it, place it all in one very swift motion, and then attempt to super launch themselves forward because they'll move faster. That has its downsides though, because obviously if you fail it, you just go straight up in the air like this in a very slow fashion, and you go nowhere. So
Yeah.
worth mentioning that it's definitely the fastest way to do things, but again, hard and inconsistent. So I tend to not do them in my console runs because it's even harder to do on console. Phase 3 is the easiest phase to exploit, actually, because Daddy Cake Legs has shrunk to the point that he's so small that he doesn't have 2 candles anymore. He only has 1, and they put it on the top of his head. So it's easy enough to run around on top of his head, light it up, and then move on. So we're gonna do that. Light him up. I actually think I failed it. Yes, I did.
Oh no!
That's what that always happens. I say, oh, it's easy, and then I fail it. But essentially, what it would do is you light his little head on fire there, and then he runs up to about this mark on the wall. Wow, he's really tormenting me.
Really aggressive.
Yeah, really aggressive. He runs up onto this wall and collapses. So, but instead, we get to see the intended way, which is you can scan him so you can get his movement pattern. There he goes. Throw up a trap here. Of course, he walked right around it. Throw it there instead. That didn't light him on fire. And then he killed me. Okay, so again, rinse and repeat. Throw the trap there. Throw it up a little higher this time. There we go. Now he's lit. The fun fact about being able to do that in one phase is, for some reason, if you were able to execute the trick where you light the candle on top of his head, the game glitches out a little bit and it reverts him to his full size with 2 wicks, and only one of the wicks is lit on fire. So you think like, oh man, I messed something up. But then as soon as he falls down, he reverts back to his small size. I don't really know why it does that.
Weird.
But yeah, so if you're able to execute that, you'll see a nice little visual glitch there, and then he shrinks down to size, and you're able to catch him.
Yeah, and then you have all the babies.
And then you can mass catch all the babies here by just throwing a trap and letting them all walk into it like that. You can catch a whole bunch, like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
And then you put them all in the pen because you would never sacrifice them.
Yes, that's actually fun fact. So that's very interesting. You can see this is a fully 100%ed I've done everything file. And if you look in the bottom left, you'll see I have 8 Bugsnax with 10 slots free. So my max inventory is 18. Your initial inventory is only 6. And that makes some categories challenging because the way you expand your inventory is by donating Bugsnax to Gramble's Barn here. I'll fast travel there. You donate them to Gramble's Barn. Basically, Gramble is like the Bugsnax vegan, right? He's very he opens a sanctuary. He won't eat Bugsnax. He's all about like raising them as friends and living like cohabitating with them. So that opens up this side quest where you, instead of eating Bugsnax, you'll donate them all, and then you have this little pen where you can see them walking around. They're wearing little hats and stuff. It's adorable. The hats are part of the DLC, by the way. They added 25 hats to the game.
So cute.
Yeah. So you got a little mini cake legs with the Santa hat on. You know, adorable stuff. You have to donate a certain amount of snacks. You have to do it. Basically, it goes up to from 6 to 10 to 12 to 18. You have 4 phases of donating snacks there. But because that involves catching snacks, coming back here and donating them, very, very slow. So on categories that are a bit longer that involve us catching more Bugsnax, it becomes a game of inventory management at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because then you have to worry about like, all right, I need to hold these Bugsnax for a certain amount of time. When is the right point for me to release them so I can capture more? Things like that. Because if you end up capturing Bugsnax, you then have to throw away because your inventory is full, then you're just wasting. But
right.
But yeah, that is the major tricks, at least in Bugsnax in general. There's a lot of other ways to get out of bounds that are probably a little less useful in terms of speedrunning, but they're also just very minor and not really relevant, I would say. But this game is very accessible from a speedrunning perspective. Those those tricks, and while I'm wrapping up here, I'll kind of run through the first part of any percent so you can see how things go at a more rapid pace. But
Sure.
yeah, it's very accessible. These tricks are not difficult to do necessarily. They might be difficult to master and do consistently. They might be difficult to do fast, but this is one of the most accessible games I've ever played in terms of like, I want to jump in and speedrun them. For example, I did a fun little thing on my stream where I had my fiance, who is not a speedrunner, come on, and I was like, all right, you're gonna hold the controller. I'm gonna coach you through the speedrun, and you're gonna do it yourself. So I was all hands off and she was hands on. And she was able to complete a speedrun of this game in 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh, without any practice.
Without any practice and never speedrunning a game in her life. The very first game. So not only she had not practiced at this game, she had never speedrun a game to begin with. So it's very, very accessible. So I encourage people to give it a shot because it's very, very fun. I jumped to that one. There's also, if glitches are not your thing, for example, a lot of people like glitchless runs or runs where you play the game more along with the story, that is perfectly fine as well. We have a lot of competitive categories in that regard. No major skips, for example, basically plays through the entirety of the story as intended. So, well, as intended in quotes. We still do like the opening cutscene skip and stuff like that, but you have to do all of the main quests and you can't skip through them. Basically, you have to do them all as an order that the game wants you to do.
Right.
So that's fun. 100% is also a very fun category. Even the 100% category is like a little less than 2 hours. So that's the longest category, and it's even then comparatively to other 100% runs, it's not that terrible in terms of length. So I suggest getting that, and there's 100 Bugsnax to catch. You get to do all these fun things, like the fun Bugsnax that you never get to utilize in other speedruns. So it's definitely a lot of fun. I definitely suggest doing that as well. And then we have for the all bosses category that I teased before, which is a combination of glitches and fights, which I really like. And then we have a DLC specific category where you start from a fresh file. Then do everything required to unlock the DLC and then go beat the DLC as fast as you can, which is just a little over an hour itself, which is really cool. So
not bad at all.
Yeah. And, it's ripe for... This game's also ripe for a few meme categories. For example, within the community, there's no leaderboard for it because it's such a meme, but there is a category we call Bunger percent, which is basically the fastest way to convert Bilbo entirely into a Bunger. Which is basically PC has one specific glitch that is useful for like 100% categories, which is that you can have one Bugsnax, and then I don't even know the glitch because I don't play it on PC. I don't really know what the mechanics behind it, but essentially it's somehow manipulating the inventory screen here so that you basically can feed the one snack 14 times in a row and convert all of their limbs at once. So yeah, Bunger percent is like 6 minutes because you just catch one Bunger on PC and then feed it to Bilbo 14 times over and over again. So and make him fully into a burger, which is
awesome.
If you ask me.
Hey there.
But yeah, other than that, I'll just quickly run. I'm not going to do the gauntlet and stuff again. That stuff is way too long. But I'm kind of just doing in real time ish, not as smooth as I normally would, but. Just all of those introductory skips that I was talking to you about, basically right up until I cut through the door, and then we'll head on out. But yeah, were there any other questions that people were asking while I was just going on and on?
People were just enjoying the Bugsnax. Really, somebody asked if English was the fastest language. Language makes a difference.
Language doesn't really make a difference in this game because all text can be instantly skipped in terms of. Let me go into the settings here real quick. If you go into, is it this one of these? Dialogue text. You could dialogue text here. You have either auto or wait or disabled. Disabled actually doesn't help because it just doesn't put the text on the screen, but you still have to wait through it. Auto means if you press X one time, it'll immediately skip to the end of the text, and then you press it again and clear it. And then wait is you cannot clear a dialogue line until it's already been completely read. By the way, you can change your fur color here into a lot of different colors if you're interested. So that's fun. This one here is probably one of my favorites. It's like lavenderish color.
Yeah.
If I look down at my hands and my belly here, you can see it's a nice little color there.
Ooh.
But yeah, so long story short, language doesn't matter because you can skip through text essentially instantly. Even on console, it's just a couple button presses, so not too shabby.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. And so I'll just very quickly do the river skip, the avalanche skip, the door skip, and then we will be on our way. Oops.
Oh, there.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning how to speedrun this game, there's a bunch of resources beyond just what this video shows you. Come on over, speedrun.com/bugsnax. You'll find our Discord server link there. Come on in and join. We actually also have a subreddit, a Bugsnax speedrunning subreddit, where people can like post clips and stuff and ask questions about like, hey, what am I doing wrong here, or things of that nature. So we can help them out there. That one's a little bit more dormant than the Discord server, so I would say go to the Discord server first.
Sure.
Give
I
that
feel
a
like Discord servers are usually the safest place for like starting in a speedrun community.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I want to shout out a specific friend of mine who is Limga_SSB. Somebody I entirely brainwashed into Bugsnax from the beginning. Taught them how to do the 80% run and kind of just hooked them on the game in general. And then what they had the audacity to do is come up with a lot of these really fun and interesting categories that are different than the standard. So for example, they actually invented the all bosses category that I'm going to run at PAX East, which is basically an 80% combined with fighting the boss fights. We actually have just recently been doing an all bosses in quotes co-op. You can't co-op in this game in terms of like, have somebody else in the same world as you are actively. But what we decided to do with that category is basically me and Limga will divide and conquer the bosses. So I will, typically what we do is I'll defeat 3 of the bosses. They'll defeat the 4th boss and then finish the game. And then the combination of the 2 of our files makes it so that we have all completed the game and completed all the bosses. And we could do it in probably right about 30 minutes. So it's very, very quick.
Really cool.
Very, very quick. So wanted to shout them out because they've done a lot of innovation and a lot of fun things with the category. We also have bingo. If you like speedrunning bingo stuff, we have Bugsnax bingo. Long, extensive card with a bunch of different goals varying in difficulty. So if you want a really hard card, we can get you a really hard card. If you want an easy card, we got that too.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense with all the ways you can skip into different areas in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and then,
you can just
obviously we have a plethora of snacks here. So we're up to 112 total, I believe. So catching a combination of snacks or having goals like, for example, catch 3 snacks in 1 trap, for example, is another fun one that we have as well. So I highly suggest checking those things out. These are all just meme categories that we do for fun as well. So we have a good time. We have a good time. Other than that, I guess if we need to stop the timer, I don't have anything else here.
It's been stopped. You're good.
yeah, that's fine. I don't have anything else to share beyond the 2 things. My name is Conception. Feel free to check out my Twitch channel. I don't stream as often as I used to. I've just been very busy in real life lately. But I still do speedruns. I play this game a lot. I do Pokemon speedruns, and I run some other quirky and awful and silly games, which leads me to my second point. Come check out Awfully Silly sometime. If you're not sure when it is, take this show minus 3 hours, and that's when it is. So come on by and check us out. We just had an episode on, if you missed it, where we featured all animal-based speedruns. We had a Frog Frenzy run. They made a Lassie game for PS2. They did.
No.
We did a speedrun of it. A game called Super Lesbian Animal RPG. You don't even know what that is? Come and see it.
Punchy runs it.
Yeah, Punchy runs it. Famous for horror game speedruns. But it decides to run Super Lesbian Animal RPG as well. So that gives you a sense of how silly we can get on our show. So come check that out. It's every other Monday, 7 to 10 Eastern on the GDQ channel. Same Monday that Fu has her show on. So.
Yes, exactly. So Conception literally just stuck around to show off Bugsnax, which is awesome, and a huge portion of your night. So huge shout out to Conception. Please go follow him. Go check out Awfully Silly. Check out his stream. Do all of the things you've already shouted yourself out. You're doing my whole job for me. It's like you run a hotfix show.
I have done an episode or 2. I'm sorry if I jump in and get my host duties take over a little bit too much here.
Right.
Yeah.
No worries. No, I totally understand. Well, I'm going to do the shout outs, probably the same types of shout outs that you did like a few hours ago.
Sure.
Did you all know that SGDQ is coming up, by the way? It's our next big event. Besides the fact that we will be at PAX East this weekend, which is going to be awesome. So you can check out that, especially if you're going to be there in person. Go stop by the booth. That's going to be awesome. There's a speedrun stage. That'll be really, really cool. Just like Inception was talking about earlier, you can see the Bugsnax there, which is great. SGDQ is going to be May 28th through June 4th in Minneapolis. So if you're interested, you can still register, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You should attend, you all. Trust me, it's going to be like, oh, the good old days. I'm so excited. Being at SGDQ last year was like such a healing week for me, and I just can't wait to be back. You can catch me there. Conception, are you going to SGDQ?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I
Great.
will. I will be there the whole week.
You can catch Conception there. Yeah, you can. You all see me doing my whole interview duties stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
While I'm there, which is cool. So, feel free to join if you're interested. Yeah, you can still register and come. We'll have all kinds of fun stuff. Like, we got the marathon room, we got the board game room, we got the arcade, we got the panels. Everything's back. So excited. Always happy to support MSF, which is awesome. So, Games List is coming out April 4th. You're always, I know, excited for the Games List. You're always welcome to tweet at Games Done Quick for what you're hoping to see upcoming at SGDQ, which is awesome.
Tell them Bugsnax. Tell them Bugsnax. So they put it on the schedule because I submitted it. So tell them that.
Yeah, it's Bugs. Oh my God, I would so love to see that. Oh my gosh, please, yes. That would be so good. Yeah, there's definitely a couple runs that I really hope get in. I didn't submit anything this time, actually. I just did my Beat Saber showcase during FF, so I'm like, I'm chilling. I have enough to do.
Let me interrupt there, by the way. Shout out to Frame Fatales. I don't know if people watch that event. One of the most incredible Fatales events I've ever seen. Raised the most money that I've ever seen. The staff is incredible. The runners were incredible. That was a week of pure bliss for me. So well done. Yeah. You were instrumental to hosting, interview team, and all the pre-show and in-between shenanigans. You were an absolute joy. So well done on that. Really well done.
That's really sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I always feel like I'm such a small part compared to the other leads of the event. I know that my role is kind of expanding as we go along. As our event expands, my role and the interstitial content that I'm able to provide is actually expanding as well. For those who are a part of the Fatales Discord, you might see that we have posted some positions for interstitial people. So if you want to be an interstitial producer for helping to produce prize segments and interviews and pre-show and all kinds of stuff, you're welcome to apply. This is extra stuff. But yes, can confirm all of the Fatales leads. Again, my role's small, but everybody, I just get to see everything going on and kind of weigh in and all of that. And they work so hard.
Yeah.
And are such a wonderful team. So I'm really lucky to be a part of that. So yeah, thanks for the kind words. You're great. You all are great, chat. Super cute. Thank you all so much for being here for another episode of Out of Bounds. I know we're ending a little early, but get excited for PAX East. Go register for SGDQ. We would love to see you there. Please come say hi if you do go. And otherwise, we will catch you on the next episode. Of course, you're going to tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern before my show, so you can also catch Awfully Silly.
Yes.
And yes. And yeah, take care. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the raid, and we will see you next time, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.